Between 1941 and 1945, thousands of American pilots took to the skies over Europe and the Pacific. They flew in conditions that tested the limits of human endurance and machine capability. Among them, a small number distinguished themselves through exceptional skill, courage, and success in aerial combat. This documentary examines the 5 most effective American fighter pilots of the Second World War, ranked by their confirmed aerial victories. These men fought in different theaters, flew different aircraft, and faced different enemies, but each demonstrated a mastery of their craft that set them apart from their peers. We begin at number 5. Gregory "Pappy" Boyington, 28 confirmed victories. Gregory Boyington earned his place in history over the skies of the South Pacific. He flew with the legendary Black Sheep Squadron, officially known as Marine Fighter Squadron 214, between September 1943 and January 1944. Boyington was already a combat veteran when he formed the Black Sheep. He had flown with the American volunteer group in China, the famous Flying Tigers, where he claimed 6 victories before that unit disbanded. When he returned to Marine Corps service, he was older than most fighter pilots. At 31, his squadron nicknamed him Pappy. He flew the Vought F-4U Corsair, a powerful and demanding aircraft. The Corsair had a reputation. Its long nose made carrier landings difficult. Its torque could snap the aircraft into a roll during takeoff if a pilot was not careful. But in the hands of an experienced aviator, it was a formidable weapon. Boyington led his squadron on missions from bases in the Solomon Islands. They escorted bombers to heavily defended Japanese positions at Rabaul. They swept ahead of strike forces, hunting enemy fighters. The Japanese flew Mitsubishi Zeros, aircraft that were lighter and more maneuverable at lower speeds. American pilots needed discipline and tactical awareness to survive. Between September and December 1943, Boyington's tally climbed rapidly. On January 3, 1944, during his final mission, he shot down his 28th enemy aircraft. That same day, his Corsair was hit. He bailed out over the ocean near Rabaul. Boyington spent the next 20 months as a prisoner of war. He was held in camps in Rabaul and later near Tokyo. The conditions were harsh. He lost weight and endured interrogations. He was liberated only when the war ended in August 1945. He received the Medal of Honor after his return. The citation noted his aggressive leadership and his willingness to engage superior enemy forces. Boyington had pushed his luck to the limit, mission after mission, until it finally ran out. Every combat sortie carried the possibility of capture, injury, or death. For him, that possibility became reality over the waters of the South Pacific. Number 4. Francis "Gabby" Gabreski, 28 confirmed victories. Francis Gabreski flew in the European theater, where the war in the air was fought under very different conditions. He served with the 56th Fighter Group, part of the United States Army Air Force's 8th Air Force, based in England. Gabreski began his combat career in early 1943. He flew the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, one of the largest and heaviest single-engine fighters of the war. The Thunderbolt was built like a tank. It could absorb tremendous punishment and bring its pilot home. Its 8 machine guns delivered devastating firepower. The missions over Europe were grueling. Bomber formations needed escort all the way to their targets deep inside Germany. Fighter pilots faced not only enemy aircraft, but also flak, weather, and the constant drain of flying at high altitude for hours at a time. Gabreski proved himself methodical and disciplined. He studied enemy tactics. He trained his wingmen carefully. He understood that survival in combat required more than individual skill. It required teamwork and situational awareness. By the summer of 1944, Gabreski had become one of the top-scoring American aces in Europe. On July 20th, 1944, he was leading a strafing mission against a German airfield. Flying low and fast, his Thunderbolt struck the ground. The impact damaged the aircraft. Gabreski crash-landed in German-held territory. He evaded capture for several days, moving through the French countryside. Eventually, he was taken prisoner. He spent the remainder of the war in a German POW camp. Gabreski's 28 confirmed victories tied him with Boyington for the second highest American tally of the war. But his combat record extended beyond World War II. He returned to service during the Korean War, where he flew jet fighters and added to his record. Few pilots have demonstrated such sustained excellence across two conflicts and two eras of aviation technology. The price of aggression in air combat was always high. One moment of misjudgment, one pass too low, and even the most skilled pilot could find himself on the ground, behind enemy lines, his war over. Number 3. David McCampbell, 34 confirmed victories. David McCampbell fought from the deck of an aircraft carrier in the vast expanses of the Pacific Ocean. He served as the commander of Air Group 15, embarked on the USS Essex during the critical campaigns of 1944. McCampbell flew the Grumman F-6F Hellcat, the Navy's answer to the Japanese Zero. The Hellcat was faster and more rugged than its adversary. It could dive away from trouble and climb back into position. American pilots learned to use these advantages, avoiding turning dogfights where the lighter Japanese fighters held the edge. Carrier-based aviation presented unique challenges. Pilots launched from a pitching deck in the middle of the ocean. They navigated over featureless water, sometimes for hundreds of miles. They returned to a moving platform, often low on fuel, sometimes damaged, always aware that a mistake on landing could be fatal. McCampbell's defining moment came on June 19, 1944, during the Battle of the Philippine Sea. The Japanese launched massive airstrikes against the American carrier task force. American fighters rose to meet them in what became known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. McCampbell led his formation into the attacking force. In a single mission, he shot down 9 enemy aircraft. The engagement lasted for hours. Ammunition ran low. Fuel gauges dropped toward empty. But McCampbell continued to press his attacks, breaking up enemy formations and protecting the carriers below. 3 months later, during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, he scored another 7 victories in a single day. His total reached 34 confirmed kills, making him the Navy's top ace of the war. He received the Medal of Honor for his actions during the Philippine Sea engagement. The citation recognized not only his skill, but his leadership under the most intense combat conditions the carrier war produced. Flying from a carrier meant that every mission began and ended with risk. The ocean offered no emergency landing fields, no place to hide. A pilot's survival depended entirely on his aircraft, his training, and his ability to find his way back to a ship that might be 100 miles away. Number 2, Thomas Maguire. 38 confirmed victories. Thomas Maguire flew in the same theater as Gregory Boyington, but his path took him to the skies over New Guinea and the Philippines. He served with the 475th Fighter Group, flying the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. The P-38 was an unusual aircraft. It had twin engines and twin booms, giving it a distinctive silhouette. It was fast and heavily armed, but it required careful handling. Engine management was critical. A pilot needed to monitor temperatures, fuel mixture, and propeller pitch on both engines simultaneously. Maguire joined the fight in 1943. He developed a reputation as an aggressive and highly skilled pilot. He studied the enemy's tactics and adjusted his own to exploit their weaknesses. He mentored younger pilots, passing on lessons learned in combat. The fighting in the Southwest Pacific was unforgiving. Pilots flew over jungles where rescue was unlikely if they went down. They faced tropical storms that could appear with little warning. They operated from rough airstrips carved out of mud and coral. By late 1944, McGuire was engaged in a competition of sorts with Richard Bong, another P-38 pilot, to become America's highest-scoring ace. The press followed their tallies. Both men were fighting the same enemy, often in the same operations, pushing their scores higher with each mission. On January 7, 1945, McGuire was leading a flight near Los Negros Island when they encountered Japanese fighters. During the engagement, McGuire made a low-altitude turn while his aircraft was carrying external fuel tanks. The P-38 stalled. There was no altitude to recover. The aircraft crashed into the jungle. McGuire was killed instantly. He was 25 years old. He left behind a widow and a young daughter. He was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously. His final tally stood at 38 confirmed victories. Combat flying demanded perfection. A single mistake, a momentary lapse in judgment, and even the best pilot could be lost. McGuire had flown hundreds of missions, survived countless engagements, only to die in a brief moment when physics and circumstance aligned against him. Number 1. Richard Bong. 40 confirmed victories. Richard Bong holds the distinction of being America's highest-scoring fighter ace. Like McGuire, he flew the P-38 Lightning in the Pacific Theater. He served with the 5th Air Force from late 1942 until the end of 1944. Bong came from a farming family in Wisconsin. He was quiet and unassuming on the ground, but in the air he was relentless. He mastered the P-38's complex systems and understood how to use the aircraft's strengths in combat. His first victories came during operations over New Guinea. The fighting there was brutal and constant. Japanese and American forces contested control of airfields and supply lines. Air superiority could determine the outcome of ground campaigns. Bong's approach to combat was straightforward. He closed to short range before firing. He did not waste ammunition. He remained calm under pressure. His wingmen trusted him completely, knowing that he would not abandon them in a fight. As his tally grew, Bong became a symbol of American air power. He was sent back to the United States on publicity tours. He met with war bond rallies and factory workers. He was awarded the Medal of Honor by General Douglas MacArthur in December 1944. Bong's combat career ended when he was ordered home permanently after his 40th victory. The Army Air Forces did not want to risk losing their highest-scoring ace. He married his longtime girlfriend in February 1945, but Bong could not stay away from flying. He volunteered to serve as a test pilot for Lockheed, working on the new P-80 Shooting Star, America's first operational jet fighter. On August 6, 1945, the same day the atomic bomb fell on Hiroshima, Bong took off on a routine test flight from Burbank, California. Shortly after takeoff, the P-80's engine failed. Bong attempted to bail out, but he was too low. The aircraft crashed. He was killed at the age of 24. His death illustrated a harsh truth of military aviation. The risks did not end when the shooting stopped. Test flying, training flights, and routine operations claimed the lives of many pilots who had survived combat. Skill and experience could reduce risk, but they could never eliminate it entirely. These 5 men represent the peak of American fighter pilot achievement during World War II. They flew different aircraft in different parts of the world. They faced different enemies and different challenges, but all of them shared certain qualities: skill, courage, discipline, and an ability to perform under the most demanding conditions imaginable. 3 of them spent time as prisoners of war. 2 of them died in aircraft accidents. All of them understood that every time they climbed into a cockpit, they were accepting the possibility that they might not return. Their confirmed victory totals tell only part of the story. Behind each number were missions flown, risks taken, and decisions made in fractions of a second at hundreds of miles per hour. These men did not fight alone. They were part of squadrons, groups, and air forces. They relied on ground crews, intelligence officers, and support personnel. But in the air, in the moment of combat, they were on their own. Their survival and their success depended on their judgment, their reflexes, and their mastery of their machines. They earned their place in history through their actions in the skies of World War II. Their records have never been surpassed by American fighter pilots in any subsequent conflict. They remain the standard against which all others are measured.